It's 3:15, and that means it's time for...
The Real Deal with Bill McNeil.
That's right. Welcome once again to The Real Deal with Bill McNeil. I'm your host, Bill McNeil, and you're probably wondering exactly what is the real deal today.
Hey, good question.
Welcome back to Thick and Critical. This is Wes, and I wanted to address those filthy rumors where people jump into conclusions about Brian Michael Bendis being the next writer of Batman. Now, if you didn't see out on social media, Brian Michael Bendis on his social media account, certainly on his Twitter, he posted a picture with Batman. It said things change on the bottom with no context to it. And some people have taken this to indicate that Brian Michael Bendis will be the next writer, the full-time writer on Batman. Now, if you think about it historically, there were certainly a lot of rumors when Bendis first took over the Superman titles, and the sales did get a bump. And at the same time, Batman sales numbers under Tom King were actually still good. And the idea was eventually that the two would swap places, that Tom King would get Superman, Brian Michael Bendis would get Batman, which makes more sense, for Brian Michael Bendis's writing sensibilities and his style anyway. He's more associated with ground level, street level kind of characters, him having a really super powered character. I think we all saw that it didn't fit his writing style and the stories we wanted to tell anyway. And we saw that I think it was in the Walmart 100-page Giants. They both had like news stories. The Superman Giant had a Tom King Superman story, which is apparently pretty damn good. And the Batman one had an original Brian Michael Bendis story. And the plan was that the two would indeed swap, and Bendis would be the Batman writer. Obviously, a lot of things have changed since then. The Batman sales basically bottomed out at about, I think it dipped just under 70,000 before it's rebounded under James Tynan. Went well over 100,000, over like 130,000 for quite a few issues. Now, the Superman sales absolutely bottomed out under Bendis as well. They actually went right below where Tomasi and Jurgens were for Superman in Action. And they haven't really rebounded quite the same because they didn't. I don't know. James Tynan did a lot of tricks, but people like James Tynan. He's a writer that has some goodwill. I like Philip Kennedy Johnson. We featured him here on the channel of creators that you should watch, but he doesn't really have the name cachet or maybe the relationship with readers or the trust that James Tynan has established over time. So he certainly didn't rebound the numbers quite like Tynan has done, and Superman has been slow to recover. So you think about it like that. Yes, Bendis was originally at some point going to take over Batman. Is he going to be taking over Batman now? Now that's an interesting question. You think about where Batman's at. James Tynan kind of abruptly announced, I'm taking this Substack deal where they're getting these nice big grants, getting healthcare and a bunch of other benefits and perks to go over and take some original properties to Substack. So he left a multi-year deal on the table to write Batman and be the writer of the flagship character for all of comics. So he left abruptly. People were enjoying that, and the art by Jorge Jimenez certainly did not hurt. And we're finishing up Fear State, and then Josh Williamson, kind of the workhorse for DC Comics right now, will be taking over. I'm certain that this is on a limited basis. They have not announced him as the next full-time Batman writer. They've only announced that he's getting this one story arc where Bruce is leaving Gotham, likely under the control or the care of Jace Fox, a better version of Batman, while he goes and investigates some mystery that has to do with Batman Incorporated. And we know Jorge Molina is coming in as the artist. And Batman, I believe, is no longer going to be a twice monthly book. It's going to be a monthly title during the time that they're in there. The reason I presume that this is happening is because they've already figured out who the next full-time Batman writer is. And that person is already working on the series and writing scripts. And Jorge Jimenez is actually illustrating right now. Because Jorge Jimenez has mentioned after the announcement from James Tynan that he will be illustrating Batman afterwards. He's certainly not illustrating the direct rollout after Fear State, and I imagine that's because he's working on scripts that are coming out after that, whoever is going to be the writer. So will it be Bendis? No, it's not going to be Bendis. If Brian Michael Bendis were doing a Batman series full time, you would assume it would be with Alex Maleev, not with the new artist in Jorge Jimenez. Although Alex Maleev and he have worked, during their time at DC, they essentially worked exclusively on that Leviathan crap that absolutely bombed out. They actually had a Batman and Superman led, mystery series written by Brian Michael Bendis with Alex Maleev, and it went under 50,000 in sales by the second issue, which is terrible. If you think about it, you have the two most marketable characters at DC Comics essentially leading a big mystery adventure. Turned out that was a flop. I think at this point, because, less than 24 months ago, Brian Michael Bendis' hands were like in everything. He was doing Superman. He was doing Action Comics. He was writing the Legion of Superheroes, which is a team book that a lot of people wanted to see come back. He also had the entire Wonder Comics line, where you had a bunch of more teen-oriented, teen-focused kind of stories he was responsible for. He'd also brought in Matt Fraction to do Jimmy Olsen's pal, Superman's pal, Jimmy Olsen. And he brought in a lot of his friends and stuff. They're all gone. Like, Kelly Sue DeConnick's not on a book anymore. G. Will Wilson's not on a book. Well, she might be doing something with Sandman. But Matt Fraction's not doing anything anymore. Even David F. Walker, I think that was one of his friends, came in, did some work. He's not doing anything anymore. So it feels like the Bendis influence, essentially at DC Comics, has all been wiped out. I think they saw that there were no results. Brian Michael Bendis does not connect with the DC Comics audience. They gave him a shot. They gave him the Superman book with a big event series, Man of Steel, to start out. Which has a name, a lineage, not only with the movie that had come out somewhat recently, but also with the John Byrne relaunch, where he really redefined and reestablished the character and was very well received. Brian Michael Bendis's reestablished of Superman was not very well received. In fact, I would say it pretty much he made a lot of mistakes that other creators had. Plus, he also went about changing the origin of the destruction of Krypton with Rogol Zaar. He obviously aged up John Kent. That went over about as smoothly as a cup of day-old milk, and I don't think anyone liked the taste of that. Superman revealing his identity. Yeah, we hadn't seen that before. It never turns out well. Basically, everything he did was not well received, and the craft involved and the way that he wrote the stories were absolutely atrocious. You could read 14 issues of Superman and almost nothing happens. He's credited with the writing for the trade, phenomenon that we're kind of in the middle of. But he was not writing for the trade. He was writing for the compendium. Jesus, I mean, he couldn't finish a damn story. Like, there's no action involved. In fact, if you go read Event Leviathan, there's like a 100-page Event Leviathan special. I think it had Superman in the title. And you go and read the special that leads you into Event Leviathan. The first 3 issues of Event Leviathan literally are just regurgitating all the information that you got in that special. And then the 2 issues after that are mostly rehashing the information that you already had with a couple of new pieces of data introduced. Like, nothing happened. And by the end, Superman didn't fight or defeat the villain. He just learned his identity. It was it's definitely... It was an exercise in just futility. Nothing was going to happen. It was one of the most frustrating reads of my entire life. Decent concept, I guess. You have a cool artist, Alex Maleev, on that thing, and it just went nowhere. DC knows that Brian Michael Bendis, he's just not the writer that he was. Do I think Brian Michael Bendis will be the writer of a Batman book? Absolutely. Look how much Batman's out there. In December alone, they have 72 titles that they solicited. Some of them go into January. 15 of them are led by Batman. When I say led by, I don't mean like he's in charge of a team. I mean, he's the character in the book. That's the starring role. And I think it ended up being, was it 38? Something like that. 52% of all DC Comics released, or they're solicited for December and the first couple weeks of January, are all led by Batman. Include Batman in an ensemble cast where he's part of a team, or are led by a Batman-related character. There's lots of Batman out there. And if you wanted to read a Brian Michael Bendis Batman book, if DC were going to bring him in on a miniseries, a Black Label book maybe, or some type of other miniseries, maybe he had some ideas for Batman. Obviously, Batman has gone in a completely different direction. Maybe he'll get to write that miniseries. So I do think if the relationship between DC and Bendis still exists, we know Bendis has taken his Jinx world, I think, over to Dark Horse. That's where his own creator-owned stuff is going to be. He's got the Justice League title. He just hinted at a Justice League versus Legion of Superheroes title, in the solicitation, or an event or some type of series in the solicitation for Justice League. So he's going to be doing some work if that relationship maintains. Yeah, we're going to see Brian Michael Bendis write Batman, but he's not going to write Batman, the flagship title. They've already tanked the sales once. They're not going to chance it again with the writer who already sunk, their second marquee character, who's not nearly as strong as far as sales, in comparison with Batman, but still in comparison with the other characters, solo-led like books, Superman, is one of the stronger selling and more compelling characters that they have, and Bendis ruined that. So I think there's no way Bendis is writing Batman after Williamson, but I do believe Williamson is a temporary Band-Aid fix. Now, we know that Tynan was supposed to be a temporary Band-Aid fix as well when he got to take over for King, when he was unceremoniously removed from Batman 20 issues early because he had tanked out sales so bad. People just lost faith in the title and what direction he was going. Tynan was supposed to come in and get it to issue 100 so John Ridley could introduce the new Batman, which I think originally was going to be Luke Fox, ends up being Jace Fox, which John Ridley is doing now. So it has happened. Maybe Williamson will take over, but I don't think so because they already. I'm almost certain Jorge Jimenez is already working on whatever the next creator of Batman is doing, because he already has said, "I am still doing Batman, post Fear State." Whoever the next writer is, Jorge Jimenez is working with it. Now, we could all be surprised, and I guess it could be Brian Michael Bendis. Maybe DC Comics just has just like one of those, like a complex. They just want to destroy everything, right? What can we do to destroy the most marketable character in all of comic books that can actually, lead 15 titles in a month, and be a major player in 20 others? Perhaps they'll give it to Bendis, but I don't think so. There's no way they still have faith in him as a writer on one of their marquee flagship characters. That's my take. The rumors out there, you can go to social media, you can see the post. It's clearly there. He's hinting at something. There's no way he's going to be the Batman writer. Nobody's that crazy. Jim Lee, well, he might be out of touch with the fandom and everything, but he's not stupid. He still knows who Bendis is. They've worked together. He's seen the sales numbers. And I do believe in his heart of hearts, if you distill Jim Lee down to who he is, he's a comic fan. He knows nobody wants that. At least I hope he does, right? Hey, 4 months I might be eating crow and be like, all right, it's time to talk about this Bendis be the new full-time writer of Batman news. There's no way it's going to happen. It wouldn't make sense, and they already learned the lesson. There's no way they could like that much punishment. That's what I got to say. What do you guys think about this rumor? Have you lost so much faith in DC Comics that you believe that they actually put Brian Michael Bendis, the John Kent Slayer, it is the new writer of Batman? What would he do to Damian? Jesus. Send him into outer space and age him up, make him some type of lame ass hipster doofus, right? Hipster doofus Damian. Because that's the story that Brian Michael Bendis really wanted to tell, not the story of a little shithead, Damian Wayne that might be a little homicidal and needs some TLC to become a normal functioning human being. Jeez, just think about it. Batman, giving away his identity. Next thing you know, there's Catwoman. Well, I guess Tom King's already doing the Joker's banging Catwoman storyline, so maybe Tom King stole that one from Bendis. And then it would no longer be that won't be the origin of the death of the Waynes. Brian Michael Bendis will go in and change it. It'll be some new villain that was behind Batman the whole time, that he's really the one that did it. Like Bruce Wayne, he doesn't remember it right. Like Joe Chill was just asking for directions. You know, he got directions for the Wayne family, and then he came in and he's the one that murdered him, so that Brian Michael Bendis could have a prominent character for the next time they make a movie. So hoping he can make a buck, i.e. Rogel's R 2.0. Nah, there's no way DC Comics would do that. I have lost faith, but I haven't lost complete faith in DC Comics competency when it comes to their main character and understanding of who Brian Michael Bendis is today. That rumor's hogwash. It has to be. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. I would appreciate it very much. It helps us attract more views for the channel. Subscribe for future commentary, comic book news, and reviews. And don't forget to ring the bell for notifications. If you want to talk comics, movies, and much, much more, you can follow me on Twitter at Wes_from_TC. With that, Salamat Po, and I'm out.